Woo! Hello, I'm Sophie welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a sort of 2022 recap of sorts. This is everything I wrote in 2022. So, just as a preface, I didn't actually finish that much in 2022. I literally only finished one draft this year, and it was not even a full draft, it was like a half draft. We'll get into that, but finished one thing this year, so we're just gonna be talking about everything that I did, because there was not a lot of finishing, but that is okay. That is okay. So, the first half of this year was a complete wash. School and work was kicking my butt so incredibly hard. I was trying. I think at the time I was working on Project What, just a little bit, just writing wherever I could, but that was very, very limited. And then May comes around, school gets let out, and it was finally time for me to actually, get some progress in on my projects. So, in June, I finished revising Project Glass. I say finished because I definitely remember revising the story in school, and school gets out in May. So, I started it probably around early May. Maybe I started it at the beginning of May. I cannot remember. I cannot tell you. But I ended up finishing revising Project Glass in June and got ready to start reworking it, replotting. There are vlogs for all of that on my channel. There's probably going to be a lot of videos linked on this video right here, because that is what my channel is. So if you want to know more about these projects and these steps, I'll have it all linked in the little guys in the corner. And then July comes around. As you probably know, this is Camp NaNoWriMo number 2 of the year, but April I did nothing, so we don't gotta talk about that. Anyways, July is here. I have that whole thing on my channel as well. Go watch it if you'd like. But in this month, I ended up finishing draft 2.5 of Project What. This is the half draft I'm talking about. If you watch some of my other videos, you would know what this means. I kind of just copy and pasted a lot of stuff from draft 2 into this new draft because a lot of it wasn't changing, and I was going to fix those scenes to make them fit with the draft 3 outline that I had. Long story short, kind of worked. Definitely glad I didn't name this one draft 3 and I stuck with draft 2.5 because this is very much a half draft. But during camp, I ended up finishing this draft 2.5, and my whole thing for this month was I just wanted to push myself and get a significant amount of progress in this draft done, because I had been working on draft 3, draft 2.5, since Christmas Day, actually, of 2021. I don't know what prompted me to start writing the draft on Christmas Day, but I did. But I had been working on the draft since then, and it was already July. I had already been spending 6 months on drafting the story, and I think I was just into Act 2. I don't even think I was. I think my goal before Camp Nano was to finish Act 1. So I was still in Act 1 after 6 months. It was bad. My goal for Camp NaNoWriMo was to finish Act 2, try and get a little bit more progress in this story because, oh my god, please go. And I ended up finishing all of it. I finished Act 2, I finished Act 3, bang, bang, bang. It was crazy. Once again, go watch the vlogs if you would like. But it was a great surprise to myself, and it made my next goal so much easier, which, spoiler alert, was starting Project Glass. So, my goal for camp was to finish Act 2. Act 3 I was going to finish in the first couple weeks of August. Then after that, my plan was to start Project Glass once I was done with Project What. I had Project Glass all reworked, the plot was ready, everything was ready to go. I just needed to finish Project What first before I started drafting something else, or else that would have been chaos. I was already having trouble drafting one story. There was no way I would be able to do 2. So, I was gonna wait. And by finishing the draft in July, this made starting Project Glass so much easier. That is not to say, however, that I ended up finishing this draft any time early, or that I have even finished it yet. As of filming, I am not very far into the story. I think like a fifth of the way through if we go by chapter numbers. I am handwriting that story right now. I will not go on a handwriting rant because I love handwriting. It's I love it. It's my favorite thing. Anyways, I am handwriting that whole story right now. Don't know how far into the story I'll be when or if I start typing it, like typing the new words, but I am handwriting it right now. It is super nice. I've been taking it very, very slow with this story. This time around, it's giving me the vibe that like, it can't be rushed. You can't get a lot of words out at once. I don't know why, but I am listening to it and the words are coming out so much better than if I was like fast drafting it or like pushing myself to get the words in. Whenever inspiration comes to me for the story, I'm just kind of writing what I can, and I feel that it really reflects in how the story is written. But as I said, I am not far into this story at all, so we're just gonna see what happens. We're just gonna see what happens, but I am loving it. I am loving the story so far. Now, I would like to interject with a different project of mine that has been let down this year. Project What? It's doing great, as she should. She's my little baby. I love Project What. Project Glass is doing a little bit worse. You know, she's getting there. We don't have to talk about Project Quest at all. Didn't even touch it this year, so we're gonna leave her be. The project I want to talk about is Project Star. My beautiful sci-fi. I have neglected her. I have neglected her severely. This year, my first task for Project Star was to revise the zero draft. I printed it out. It was ready to go. It's somewhere in my room right now, if that tells you anything about how it's going. And I think somewhere around May or June, I picked it up. I picked it up and started revising. I got about a third through before forgetting about it. I shouldn't say forget about it. I can't forget about her. She's iconic. But I kind of forgot about it. I just didn't work on it. And then a few months passed. September rolls around and I decide, you know what? We need to finish this. We need to finish revising Project Star. I started over. I started over because I didn't like how I was revising in that May or June era. So I started over. I got a little bit further and that was super motivating. I was like, yes, I can finally get going. But I got a little bit further than I did in June-ish. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna finish it this time. We're gonna keep going. And then I got maybe halfway through and I gave up again. and it was over. And I haven't picked it up since. Yay! Project Star has been played twice this year and left for nothing. She would be on this list, and that would be great if I could add Project Star to this, but we had 2 attempts. And both of them failed. So that is what happened with her. She will have her redemption soon. Fingers crossed. Let's move on. By now, school was back in session, but this means that progress was about to plummet again. School was obviously my first priority, so everything else kind of came after it, but we still got a little bit. We got a little bit in here. In September, I picked up Project What again. I printed it out because it was my like half draft. I didn't want to use Lulu to print it out on like a paperback version because it wasn't a finished draft. It felt wrong. So I printed it out spiral bound from Office Max? Staples? I can't remember which one. Sorry. And let it sit for a month. I finished it July 30th. Let it sit for August, and then in September, I finally started revising. I was so excited. I was so excited to be back with the project because I knew so much of what I needed to change. I just needed to figure out where it was and how it should play out, so I was stoked to start revising this and making it the draft I wanted to see, because draft 2.5 was horrendous and awful, and I hated it. Anyways, that is all I did in September. School was starting, things were slowing down, you get the deal. And then October came around. October, Preptober, NaNoWriMo, all of that jazz. I was very excited for NaNoWriMo because this year I was supposed to write book 2 of the Project What trilogy. It was gonna be great, I was finally gonna have progress in the trilogy. Preptober went pretty smooth for what I was expecting. I had a pretty loose outline for the story, but I was like, hey, it is book 2 of Project What. How much extra help am I going to really need with this story? But you might have noticed that none of my Preptober stuff or my NaNoWriMo stuff is on my channel. Funny story. I was so stoked. I was so excited for Nano. I was hyping it up. I was hyping myself up. I was ready to go. Like I said, I had that loose outline, but I was like, what kind of help would I even need? I was very wrong. Basically immediately, I was hit with the most story block ever. This, in part, was because of how loose the outline was, and also because I really need to flesh out the motivation and everything for this story. Each book is going to follow a different character's perspective for the most part. We see all three of the characters throughout each story, we get their perspectives, but each book is going to be focused on one of those characters. And I wasn't really ready to shift the perspective onto the second character. I was still in the headspace of looking through the eyes of the first character, so redoing it to where this other character is kind of in charge of things was very strange. That was the first hurdle. The second was that, yeah, the motivation wasn't very set. I kind of worked myself into a hole where they were supposed to be going out into the world and seeing these things, but why would they when their home is literally falling apart in front of them? And trying to figure out how they could convince themselves to leave was not working at all. And then I think the third thing was just like, I did not know what was gonna be the bulk of the story. Like, I had to fill up the book, obviously. The fun and games had to be fun with games, and I had no idea what I was gonna do there. There was nowhere that these characters were going to that I knew about, so there was no reason to write them going there, because they were just going there to do nothing. So that is what happened with that story. I think I got maybe 5,000 words. I'm not even sure, but I got like nothing in that story. And on top of that, finals were also on their way. They were coming in hot and ready. And the holidays as well. Who doesn't love the holidays? But everything was coming together. November really is a terrible month to have this kind of challenge if you do anything outside of writing. But I attempted it, and that happened. But that is why none of it is on YouTube. I wasn't writing, so I wasn't vlogging, which means I had no content to put on YouTube. And besides that, I just didn't have any time to edit the videos, if I did have them. So it all came together and nothing happened, you know? So NaNoWriMo just didn't exist for me. It was gone. Disappeared. We're never gonna talk about her again. Moving on. In the background, during this time though, when I wasn't even posting on YouTube, like it was awful, I was now reworking Project What. I had finished revising, which was simple enough. It was literally just rereading, taking notes, brainstorming what I could. And then I went straight into reworking. I needed to rework so much of the plot. It was terrifying, but slow and steady, we got to work. But everything kind of stayed in that sort of pattern where I wasn't writing, so I wasn't vlogging, so I wasn't posting on YouTube until I finished my semester, which was halfway-ish through December. Also, around this time, a little after school got out, I ended up finishing the reworking of Project What, and now I was ready to get to rewriting. It was finally time to see the draft that I wanted to see from the very beginning. Very exciting stuff. And now I had an entire winter break to work on this story. I had nothing to do. I was so excited. And here we are now. That is everything up until literally like today, maybe a week ago. All of this new updatey stuff will be in their own vlogs. But like I said, I did not get much done in 2022. Everything was sort of half finished. Project Star was half revised. Project Glass is a fifth written, and Project What is literally finished at a half draft. So things are looking weird, things are wonky right now, but that is why 2023 is my year of the next draft, because there are so many things that are half done right now that at least some of them have to be at a stopping point, a normal stopping point. But that is basically it. That is everything that happened in 2022. Everything is linked up in the little cards if you want to know more about what I did. I think on here it looks like I'm doing a lot more than I actually ended up doing, but that is not to say that I am not happy with the progress I made. Like I said earlier, Project Glass, while it is super slow, the words are great. I like the style that the story is in. I feel like it's really got its own style now, and I didn't expect that to happen right out of the zero draft. Like, it was like that, and I was like, okay, I'm not complaining. Project Star, we're not going to talk about that. And Project What looked bad, very bad, but now I have all of the tools that I need to make it good. I just need to put the work in. So we will see what happens. We will see what happens during this year. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. How did your 2022 go? Did you get any major writing goals done? Did you hit any crazy milestones? How was it? Was it a little bit like mine, where nothing kind of happened, but things were kind of going? It was a weird year. I'm not going to judge you. But yeah, let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.